We're live and ready to go. We're still missing Harmony.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is a regular meeting of the Seldovia City Council, Monday, April 13th, 2026. Time is 6:03 p.m. And if you'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, everyone. Let's see, excuse absences. We have Langdart tonight. She is out. Let's see, actually, let's go ahead before we do that. Let's go ahead and do roll call. Coleman,
Here.
Taylor,
Here.
Peyton,
Here.
Barber,
Here.
and Keithley.
Here.
All right, we have 5 out of 6 members present with Langbart absent. That'll take us down to item D. I'll look for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I second.
Okay, we have motion to approve tonight's agenda by Keithley, second by Taylor. Any further discussion on the agenda before we vote? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the approval of tonight's agenda. All those in favor, Coleman,
Aye.
Taylor,
Aye.
Peyton,
Aye.
Barber,
Aye.
and Keithley.
Aye.
All right, motion passes 5 in the affirmative, 1 absent, and that was the approval of the agenda. That'll take us down to item E, consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are approved with a single motion, no discussion, and 1 vote. The council member may request to remove any item for discussion in a separate vote. Items removed from the consent agenda will be placed under new business. Tonight's consent agenda consists of item 1, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting from March 23rd, 2026. We have no ordinances for introduction. We do have 2 resolutions. The first one is Resolution 26-20, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, authorizing acceptance of Port Infrastructure Development Program, otherwise known as PIDP funds, grant funding in the total amount of $2,857,857. A typo, or is that's the real number? Okay. And authorizing the issuance of a request for proposal for the Jackaloff Bay Dock Replacement Project. Second resolution is going to be Resolution 26-21, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, authorizing acceptance of Denali Commission non-federal matching funds in the amount of $482,000 for the Jackaloff Bay Dock Replacement Project, and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute appropriate documents. Those are items on the consent agenda tonight. Does any member wish to remove any item for further discussion? Okay, looks like we are good. With that, I'll go ahead and look for a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
I make a motion.
Okay,
I'll second that.
all right, we have a motion by Barber to approve tonight's consent agenda, second by Coleman. Any further discussion on the consent agenda before we vote? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the approval of tonight's consent agenda. All those in favor, Coleman,
Aye.
Taylor,
Aye.
Peyton,
Aye.
Barber,
Aye.
Keithley.
Aye.
Motion passes 5 in the affirmative, 1 absent. All right, that was the approval of tonight's consent agenda. That'll take us down to item F, mayoral proclamations, none. Item G, public presentation, prior notice. Anyone, Liz? No one on the list here.
No one on the list. No.
Okay, that'll take us to item H, public presentation for items not on the agenda. Anyone wish to speak in the audience tonight?
I think we have Mr. Bob Day here.
My apologies to the clerk. I didn't know if I was supposed to call back and confirm. So that was my error, and I apologize to the committee on that. But I wanted to come over today and at least present myself to you. I'm a candidate for the board of directors at HEA. My history, actually, I came to HEA in 2006 after 29 years of municipal light power up in Anchorage. So I've had a lot of experience with all the utilities and building the Anchorage Fairbanks transmission line, building Bratton Lake from conception, and then in later years even managed Bradley Lake. But some of my most favorite times were working over here, because one of the jobs when I showed up, green to HEA, hey, we got this power plant we just installed over in Seldovia. Go over there and meet this guy, Jerry Willard, and fix it. There's a lot of problems. And man, were there a lot of problems. It was not the most fun times. So we weren't, but you learn a lot when you have problems. And we've improved that. HEA's improved that. But a couple of years ago, I retired from HEA and started looking around and, doing all the things you do when you're retired. And then heard some things that really kind of like, wow, this is going to be bad. And Cook Inlet, I'm sure you've all heard, has some dwindling gas supplies, and that's really where we get our gas from. And the reality is 90% of the energy we use comes from natural gas. And you hear a lot of debate about do this, do that, renewables. It has to be a combination of all these things if we're going to get out of this bad spot we're in. There's three basic things that are being proposed right now to solve the gas problem. One is Chugach Electric and Harvest, something to do with Hillcorp. Want to take the old LNG export plant and turn it around and import LNG and put it back into the system. The third is the gas line from the North Slope to bring that to Nikiski and liquefy natural gas and export it. And the fourth, oh no, sorry, now I'm getting my numbers off. But the third one is a company wants to bring in a container ship full of LNG, hook it up to the Osprey platform, which isn't used anymore out there in the West Cook Inlet, and regasify the gas and put it back into the system. And why do all these things center around Nikiski? Because that's where the pipelines are. If you go there, you can deliver gas everywhere. And that's why you see all these things going into Nikiski. It's the centroid of gas distribution. It's just grown up that way. So I'm really concerned about making HEA pick the right and most affordable and most reliable one of those things. And the real solution, like I say, is probably be a combination of all of those things. I like renewables. I put some solar panels on my house to see how well they work. I'm still working on that. But now the federal government, right or wrong, has taken that 30% rebate away. So everything costs basically 30% more than it used to. So we've got to make those evaluations from a technical standpoint and make sure things stand on their own. At the end of the day, what really matters to, I think, the people in Seldovia is reliability and cost. You have to have both. And it could be a rough road ahead, but having somebody on the board that has the technical expertise to say that'll work or that's not a very good idea from a technical standpoint, because we have a lot of financial people on the HE board right now, but I don't see anybody that's got the technical expertise. Nearly 50 years of building the utility all across Alaska. Some people call me a dinosaur, but I'd like to think I'm your dinosaur, and I do my very best for all of you. And I really appreciate the time letting me talk to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate you coming in today. Anyone have any questions for Bob?
Bob, I have some questions.
You bet.
Bradley Lake, what does that contribute to those? Because I know they pushed electric to Anchorage off of it, I believe. Between the gas and the Bradley Lake, there are major sources. How much of that Bradley Lake, and why don't we get a cheaper rate because it's so close to us?
Well, the last question is easy to answer. You do get a cheaper rate because Bradley Lake, when it was built, was 4 cents a kilowatt hour. Well, 3.9 cents. Now it's 4 cents, a little inflation there. In comparison, when I was in Anchorage, we could build a kilowatt hour for 1.9 cents or 2.1 cents, because gas was 22 cents an MCF back then in 1977, back in the dinosaur days. But anyway, moving forward, Bradley was built. And so they came to Bradley, came to all the utilities and said, hey, here, we'll build this great project, 4 cents. You can build it, you can make it at 2. Well, how do you make up, double your prices and actually make it cost effective? And the joke is volume, 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 but that's an old joke. Bradley was not a job for an electrification as much as it was I'm mixing up my words. It wasn't so much for electrification as it was a jobs bill. We're in the 1980s, late 1980s, when everybody, I mean, a third of the houses, a fourth of the houses in my neighborhood were empty. People, I'd have the banker knock on my door and say, hey, you know where they went? No, the truck pulled up and they left last night. And that was really tough times. So the state invested a lot of money, and we could get into the whole financing thing of Bradley. It's been crazy, but they invested that money. And at the time, they also had the utilities pledge that they would buy the power from Bradley. HEA only gets 12% of that power. Then other 88% of it goes to the other utilities. Now, and I think your other question is how much of that Bradley contributes about 10% to the whole rail belt. We get about, there's some odd numbers in there, but about 80%, 90% comes from gas. There's a little bit that comes from coal up in Fairbanks, and the renewables are like at 2%. And we want to expand all of those things, maybe not so much coal, as that seems like it's on its way out. But in 5 or 6 years, we're not going to, there's no way we can build enough hydro or renewables to get us out of this problem. The only way we're going to fix this is to find some new sources of gas. That doesn't mean we shouldn't explore these other things. Now, to put it in perspective, Bradley is still 4 cents, and now we're producing on the gas turbines a kilowatt at about 9 cents. So now Bradley's super cheap, and we take every bit of Bradley we could possibly get. But unfortunately, the contract says HE only gets 12% of that, or 14 megawatts out of Bradley Lake, because the other members of well, that's the contract. Let's just.
And that was just the way it was negotiated when Bradley was built originally then?
Yeah, and the reason it's 4 cents, and this gets into the weeds, but I find it really interesting. The utilities, through their pledge to buy the power back in 1991, they took that money and got bonds on the bond market. Then the state put in another $380 million to, or no, sorry, it's $380 million was total cost in 1991. Half was paid by the utilities pledge on the mortgage. The other half was a gimme by the state. But the state said, hey, look, utilities, once you pay off the bonds, then you have to pay that same amount to the state as long as Bradley exists. So you can have 4 cents across the board. If those bonds, and those bonds were paid off a couple of years ago, if those bonds would have been paid off, it would be less than 0.3 of a cent per kilowatt. Because once you pay off hydro, what's the expense? Some people to run it, some trucks to run around and fix things. It's nothing. So anyway, Bradley's, when you build hydro, it's really expensive at first, but it's a long-term thing. It's something you build for 100, 150 years, because that's where the profit comes from. But in Alaska, you want to build hydro, you got fish, you got people, you got to have a lake, you got to have a location. It's not something you do easily.
Got to get through permitting.
So, did I answer your question? I'm sorry, I've wandered off there.
Fire Island on the wind turbines, I supported on the air service. It was slated for 33 turbines. They only built 11. Why? I mean, instead of fossil fuels, why is the wind turbine energy, why haven't they moved forward with the other 22?
Wind and solar present a real problem to the guy me operating, dispatching the system because they come and go. And that means you've got to make your gas turbine go and come. So the more wind you put on the system, the more solar you put on the system. When the wind stops or blows, or the sun comes out or goes behind a cloud, you have to run. Oh, sorry. They have to run these two things kind of against each other so that the amount of electrical availability stays the same. So the addition of wind causes a whole bunch more wear and tear on your gas turbine because you're moving those things around a lot. So one of the strategies is to, like at Seldovia, put in a big battery bank. Now use the batteries to kind of take that ebb and flow and smooth the system out. Your equipment runs better and you can embrace more renewables, more wind. But you really need some way of levelizing the renewables out there. Now, tide and wave are a little more, waves are a little more consistent, and tidal is predicted. So you know when it's going to come and when it's going to go. So everything has a cost. Everything has a little bit of a problem with it. And it's a balancing act all the time to keep the generators matched to the load, because they're always in a tug of war and you don't want that tug of war to be lost on either side.
So up at Big Lake, they have all the solar farms up there. I think it's MEA. How does that fit in with the whole system?
We haven't seen a lot of solar farms down here, and I'm not sure why. There's a project called Puppy Dog Lake that's been proposed and built on state lands or something like that. But I don't know a heck of a lot about it. But you're fighting a couple of things in Alaska. We drove through the Mojave Desert here just recently around Las Vegas, and you cannot believe that the solar panels that are out there, they go for miles and miles and miles. But down there, the sun is intense and it's out 90% of the time. Here we have this low incident sun. You just don't get as much power per square foot as you do down south. So at the end of the day, I'd be really happy to see these solar farms make some money, because as a generating person, if I can generate for 9 cents a kilowatt hour, I'll give anybody 9 cents a kilowatt hour. That's my cost. But a lot of these renewable folk come in and they say, oh, I paid 32 cents per kilowatt hour on my bill, and I want 32 cents a kilowatt hour back. They're forgetting that all the wires, all the equipment, all the capital costs has to be paid for. And it's just the fuel cost that's being exchanged between the utility and the renewables. So that's another discussion we're entering into. But if you're overpaying, then you're taking money from one person and giving it to another person. And that's not the utility's job in my mind. It's a member-owned cooperative. Here's the expenses. We're supposed to all share in those expenses according to how much we used. And that's kind of the mantra that I grew up with in the utility business.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Yeah, obviously, energy costs are extremely important to us over here. And everything's a few bucks more over here, our fuel, our power, all of that. So, yeah, we like to get our updates from HEA. We like to know that when the lights go out, and they go out frequently, for a myriad of reasons, that our generators are going to kick on reliably and, hopefully get everybody lit back up. I know they had to get pretty creative this winter with a few things that were going on. We had some really oddball stuff happening this year. Luckily, our newer generators now are doing much better than they were. The comms between there and Homer are much improved. HEAs, we've had some frank discussions. I know our managers had some frank discussions on the other type of communication, and I think things have gotten much better with HEA in terms of them, making sure that we've got someone that we can actually talk to when there's an outage and we know what's going on. We're not the last ones to be left in the dark. And so we do appreciate the gains we've made in the past few years here for sure. So And we like knowing that our rep, you know, is in tune and knows what's going on as well.
Taking a long time to fix and get rid of those old generators. That was terrible. That was a terrible time. But
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear it's better. I do my best to be a good representative for all of you if I could. Thank you.
Thanks for coming over. Appreciate that. Anyone
Thank you,
else?
Bob.
Any follow-ups? Anybody online? All right. Thanks, Bob. Thanks for coming over. Liz, did you have anybody else online or?
No, I'm not seeing anybody else, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, sounds good. That'll take us down to let's see, item I, committee and advisory board reports. I don't think we have any tonight. Item J, administrative reports, none. And then that'll take us on down to item K. Let's see here, slide on down. Item K, public hearings. We've got one set up for tonight. That's going to be ordinance 26-13. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Seldovia adopting the 2025 Seldovia Comprehensive Plan and recommending adoption by the Kenai Peninsula Borough. And Heidi, let you lead this discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And in the essence of time, I'm actually going to introduce Aaron Hughes. He's with the Kenai Peninsula Borough Planning Department. As you guys can guess by the title of this ordinance, even though the city of Seldovia can adopt it, this ultimately is under the jurisdiction of the Kenai Peninsula Borough. And so I'm putting him on the spot here. If he wants to say anything before he goes, he has a meeting in just a couple of minutes. To just talk about that relationship and what the next steps are if this is adopted tonight, or if you have any concerns or additions with this plan, Aaron, or even just an introduction. I figured I'd give you that courtesy because I know you're leaving.
Well, thank you very much. My name is Aaron Hughes. I'm the Land Management Officer for the Kenai Peninsula Borough, and I'm standing in for Robert Ruffner as Acting Planning Director while he's out on vacation. Appreciate the ability to review and provide some comment. Read through the plan. It looks like you guys have spent quite a bit of time and effort on it, and thank you for sending this our way for review. My understanding of the next steps is if it's approved tonight with a recommendation to forward on to the Kenai Peninsula Borough, it will then go through its process here on our end to be incorporated into the area plan. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Not that I would have all the answers here today, but again, thank you very much for letting us participate and happy to be here.
Thank you, Aaron. Does anybody, sorry, I'm not gonna take over for you, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, no, you're fine. I don't know if Aaron, had you had a chance to breeze through the plan at all, or if you guys did they get an opportunity to look at a courtesy copy? Did you, if you guys did you guys have any concerns or anything that you saw where, you know, after you were able to review it?
Thank you. Just had a brief opportunity to review that here today. Didn't get too far into detail, but it looks like you guys thought through quite a few of the pillars. I see the Kenai Peninsula Borough is named in a number of areas that you're going to be relying on us in the future to help execute on part of this plan. But I apologize, I'm not prepared to speak in much more detail to that.
Yeah, no worries. I was just curious. I took some couple hours this afternoon and tried to read through the whole thing, and I got through about 98% of it. So yeah, it was wordy for sure. So, all right. Well, thank you, Aaron. Yeah, we'll have our discussion this evening, and then if all goes well, hopefully we'll get this approved and headed your guys' way.
All right. Thank you again. Have a nice evening.
Okay. Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron.
And then so with that, Mr. Mayor, you will find on page 17 of your packet, there is a memo that discusses a summary of adoption of the ordinance 2613, gives you a little bit of background that this update was undertaken per the request of the Seldovia City Council and the Seldovia Planning Commission, and with the assistance of the Alaska Municipal League. We are incorporating a lot of the comments and elements from the comprehensive plans of 2014 and 2005. So this is more of an update than an overhaul. And that was really the basis of this update, was being able to look at that 2014 plan and identify what was what has changed, you know, what needed to be removed, what needed to be added, what some of those differences were. So a lot of the things still remain the same and remain in there from 2014, but it has been updated to date. You'll see a quick timeline here, starting with the first survey, which was in May 2025, was posted. There was an online survey. We received 5 public comments. We had a community event on July 9th. In September and December of 2025, the plan went back and forth between the Planning Commission and the Seldovia City Council for review, with plenty of public discussion in those events. And then through January through February 2026, we had a second public comment period for the draft plan and its more finalized state, with a public hearing date or a community input date on January 14th, 2026. And I apologize, I did not include how many people attended, but there was a few. It's a handful of people, including Councilmember Barber. And then public comments were incorporated into this final comprehensive plan. Not a lot of changes from that, just a couple of smaller things that were caught and suggested, and you'll see a summary of the changes in totality following that on that memo, the 2025 comprehensive plan draft summary. I won't go into all of the details because I know we've discussed this and gone through it a few times, but the recommendation is then to adopt this ordinance and forward those recommendations to the Kenai Peninsula Borough. And I will leave it at that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I got an opportunity, or I took an opportunity this afternoon to try to read through this word for word, and it's a great document. I think we've made inroads on where we're at. Obviously, it's very wordy. There's lots of words in this thing, and more so than charts and bullets and stuff like that. So, but no, it kind of struck me when I got to on page 11 So when you start breaking this thing up, let's see, this piece was the community vision for 2025 to 2045. It was kind of interesting. The Seldovia community vision, if you just, the first paragraph, the city of Seldovia envisions a future Seldovia that is vibrant and self-reliant, balances growth with preservation, fosters strong cultural and environmental connections, supports a diverse year-round economy, maintains safe and welcoming public spaces, and through collaborative, resilient planning, ensures a high quality of life for current and future generations. Now, what I didn't do is I didn't go back and compare that word for word for the old one, but you could have said that 20 years ago and it still applies today, right? So that's pretty safe. I think that's there's some things for most part of everything I liked where this was going. So when you started reading through that, a couple notes, there was some of the photos I thought we could have done a little better job on. A few of the older photos. I didn't understand the one on page 5 where it showed like the old original Buzz, the old boardwalk. It showed all the old stuff. I kind of would have liked to seen those two photos side by side to show where we were at and where we've come in the last 20 years. I think that would have been a little stronger statement. I didn't really understand that photo. One thing on page 19, when we get to the economy, strategic pillar, let's see if I can find this here. This is long. Okay, there, I highlighted it. Let me just find this real quick. Let's see. Okay, this is and again, I think when they were working on this, trying to frame it all, this one stuck out on me. Though the cost of living remains in line with other remote Alaska communities, Seldovia has offset those costs through reduced energy prices, expanded housing options, more local goods and services, and a steady rise in year-round employment. Now, remember, that's what we're hoping to see in the future, right? That's what we're hoping to see. Again, I would have said that 20 years ago, and I don't think we've made many inroads in that, right? our cost of energy is high over here, our cost of transportation is high, and our population is low. All that being said, I think we're on the right track. We have to grow our population. I mean, we can't sustain year-round businesses. We just flat out can't do a lot of these things if we don't have a bigger population that utilizes all these services. I mean, I'm in business, you're in business, you're in business. There's a number of people that are in business, and the cost now from even 5 years ago and 10 years ago, I am literally sickened every single day when I go into the store, and God forbid the hardware store. I usually end up talking to myself, cussing myself, and then I walk out because I can't do it. I mean, the cost of some of these things, what used to be $3 and $4 are now $22. And you're like, what is happening here? And my sandwich that I made 12 years ago, I'm trying to keep the same prices. And I'm using this as an analogy, but it's it's God's truth. I have to charge more money for these things because it's costing me more money. My point is it's going to be tough to make inroads on some of these with where we're currently at. But I get it. They're goals. We have to have goals. We have to have aspirations, and we have to try to grow Seldovia as a whole, for the better of the community. There are some things, quality of life, arts and entertainment. There's a number of those that I think that are much more achievable. Those have always been fairly easy when you're in a place like this. It's beautiful, and you've got a lot of things going for you. So, that's just my 2 cents. I'll let you guys all chime in on wherever you want. But the document overall, I think it's pretty well put together. I like where we're headed in terms of a comprehensive plan. So I'm definitely in support of it. So open it up for anyone else that wants to chime in.
I was just gonna say you're spot on, Mr. Mayor. As a business owner that moved here just over 4 years ago, trying to make money and just continually with growth has been great, but not being able to move forward yet because of the costs of everything. And I think it's looking at what we have more control over in this plan, as you said, which is the fluffy stuff. And the fluffy stuff is what can make it doable for some people, because I know I moved here when people ask, like, well, why did you move here? And I'm like, for the quality of life. I had a discussion with my husband and said, we can make as much money in the world, as we want. Not that we're not still trying to do that for quality of life, because you do need money to do stuff. But I'm like, it's to be rich in life. And that might be kind of the motto. That's the motto I've been trying to live by, what brought me to Seldovia after only being here for 2 days to move everything and take over a business. And less than 8 months I could tell it was going to be more rich in life. And so that is what we can sell to other people, which is going to be more those who can do some sort of a business here. Because you need employees, but just trying to find a day-to-day job here, there's only so many jobs available, and the cost of living, it doesn't equalize to that very well. So I think, the more who can bring a skill, a talent, something in, and are rich in life, and they don't mind, they're going to work hard, and it's just going to, equalize out for probably a while, but that it's a beautiful place, good people, and great activities, and the other things that we're trying to, improve on, like school and things like that, can just assist with it.
Yeah, one of the things I also noticed in here was our demographics are extremely important and a little bit eye-opening on this, right?
Yes.
We have almost twice the number of seniors that live here compared to all the other communities
Biggest ratio of any community in Alaska.
Absolutely, compared to all the other communities. And what that tells me is there's a lot more fixed incomes here too, right? I mean, if you're a senior, you're probably at retirement or pretty darn close. Although we've got a lot of seniors here that are still working jobs, right? And probably maybe some of them because they want to, others have to. So that's a huge factor. the flip side of that, I noticed that there was some comments about, when we get into the housing and the property and utilization of our housing, how, I forget the exact words, but there was a little bit of opposition to those, some of those summer homes that sit vacant, right? And then I get it, but you've got to have a mix. Those are also people that have expendable income come down here, and they're usually, when they're here, they're spending a lot of money, right? And those,
People.
yeah, and those property, bringing people, I mean, that just, it all helps. Those houses, maybe they do have a little higher property values. So obviously we're getting the benefit of that. So you're going to have a mix. It doesn't matter where you live, you are going to have a mixed demographic bag all the way across. So
Trying to bring that to a better ratio would be in our benefit, because it is tougher when you're thinking about the pot that pays for everything for us to have over here, because we are so disconnected as well. You don't have that kind of mesh between communities. Is when you see the percentage that is in that older demographic, that's a lot of tax dollars that we don't get because of exemptions. And not that we don't want to have those people here, but when we're thinking about who are we trying to bring in, who are going to be here longer, be able to bring long-term investment in, and also right away bring in more to the community to help. If you have somebody that moves over here, that's a family that's in their 30s versus somebody who's 70 years old and buys a $300,000 house, we're going to see more from that younger family in the long term, but also even in the right now to put back into the usage of what's.
well, and that goes, I mean, that goes kind of towards the whole circle of life too, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's fair for younger people to have to pay more, in my opinion.
No, I'm saying that.
No, and
Yeah.
I mean, I beat up on my own kids for that.
Yeah.
And here's another analogy. You look at, you take a community like Anchorage, right? And I mean, I work up there and I come home, and it's night and day. It is literally night and day how I live here and how I live there. And I mean, I even asked my kids, I'm like, good God, how can you guys afford to eat out so much up here? How do you do it? And it's not cheap. I mean, you can't go to McDonald's for less than $28 for two people. And if you do the DoorDash and all that other crap, it is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month. And I asked them, I go, how do you guys do that? And they're like, you know what, Dad, we just, at their age, we live differently now. The younger generation now, more than ever, they are all about convenience.
Yeah.
And they don't care. They don't care what it costs. They don't care if there's an extra, 90% of them just flat out don't care.
Mhm.
And it's just the way they live their life, right? But my point is we don't have the population for people to spend that kind of money here. People that live here are a lot more frugal with their money,
Mhm.
which is great. I love it when I come down here because I don't spend much money. But that doesn't help our community if I'm going back and spending my money in Anchorage.
Yep.
I mean, you can see how we're stuck in this vicious circle. I mean, as is every small town in Alaska. They all wrestle with the same deal.
And that's why I like this comprehensive plan so much, is because it is kind of pulling all of those concerned areas together so that we can maybe approach that going forward.
Yeah.
I've read this, we've done workshops on this. I'm behind it. I think it's a great document. I'd like to move forward with it.
I like what you said, Mr. Mayor, about the convenience, because I'm just gonna say from like my marketing brain, that's something that what brought me here in such a quick amount of time when I thought I was gonna be moving to Anchorage from Seattle, but I came here was because I said, there is no other place that I can live that's off the road system away, that gets me away, but there's also community and has so many conveniences for being off the road system. It's the bougie bush, Alaska. That's how I sell it when people come over and they come stay with me and they're like, we want to live here. We want this. And I'm like, yes, the bougie bush. Let me tell you all the things. It's a little tough, but we have all these conveniences. So
And then I hit them with, well, you better stay a winter and rent before you buy.
I don't know.
You might not like it.
Here they go. I'm like, winter's my favorite time of year.
then they talked to Chris. That's what Wendy did, but she still came here.
All right, anyone else? Anybody else online? Any comments? Good, bad, ugly?
I have a comment, Mr.
Sure,
Mayor.
Jackie.
Um, going back to what Ashley said about, the elderly people moving here, and I know that, they get tax exempt and, eh, my husband and I are one of them. But I don't want to say we're trying to push out the elderly people that are coming here. I mean, we have sustained it. We do take a hit. I admit that. But I think Seldovia should be for everybody and not just people that are going to come in and bring business and new opportunities. And, I just wanted to clarify that it's for everybody.
Thank you, Jackie. No,
Yeah.
I don't, I'm glad you said that. I don't want it to come across that way. It's more that when we're thinking about who we're selling ourselves to, because that's.
Yeah.
And that is that, encouraging that it's a great place to come and retire, but knowing what our needs are, knowing where our demographic is making sure that it's not just it's not the Florida of
Right.
Alaska.
Right.
It can be your Florida of Alaska, but it's like, it's a melting pot. There's a little something for everybody. And again, we have some of those conveniences. If you're,
Yeah.
for certain people, this can be a great place to come and retire.
Yeah, it's finding that right mix, right? And we got to find the right mix to be able to finance everything and pay for everything,
Right.
and then allow everyone to have that same quality of life, right? I mean, I'm 57 now, so I'm right on the cusp, but I want to retire here.
Are you
So,
67?
57, not 67. Jesus. Uh,
I could make a comment on why you have elderly people. But the biggest deterrent is taxes and utilities. And if I have a rental place, for the investment I have in it and what I have to charge a month, the younger people, the wages that they can earn here can't afford it. So it makes it really hard where the people over 65 or 67, we get tax exemptions on our primary home. We get Social Security 100% after 60 with no penalties, so we can continue to do work as side job. Where the younger generation doesn't have that benefit yet. And so utilities and taxes make it tough, and usually the older people have some money to come with to this community. And so, and your younger people are your workforce. So they can't make enough money, or hardly work to buy whatever the rental housing market is to afford it. So it's kind of a catch-22. That's why it'd be nice. I mean, instead of burning fossil fuels, I'm looking at heat pumps now for my source rather than burning fuel oil because it's so high. I'm not sure that electric heat pumps are not better bang for your buck.
They can be, but I'll say I put one in last month and my bill was still the same because we went up with the surcharge.
yeah, there's no good answer on energy right now. So, and yeah, I don't have a lot of faith that gas line is going to get built anytime in the near future either, if ever. We'll see what that's got to go through. So, a couple things that focused on here, obviously improving our communications, right? That was a big one. We all agreed, our internet access, our internet speeds, as we were struggling with here an hour ago, to even get logged on. But, yeah, there's obviously, still a lot of people work and have hybrid jobs, have the opportunity to work remote. I mean, I love my job because I can come down here, I can take a couple days off, but I could pop in anytime I need to. I approved my time cards, everybody's time cards this morning. I could check but they don't even miss me out of the office. So it's pretty seamless. I think I know we have a number of people in this community that work remote and really rely on good, high speed internet, as best as we can offer, obviously. But hopefully we'll get one of these infrastructure projects in the future to where we do get some fiber or something that'll really get our speeds going at, some sort of reasonable cost. So yeah, overall, I think not hearing anything negative. I think most of this discussion was just for the sake of, I mean, that's why we've been able to achieve some things. Obviously others are going to be a little more of a struggle, but at the end of the day, I think we all want the same thing. We want, quality of life, good quality of life, reasonable cost, great place for our kids, our grandkids, all of that. So, all right, anyone else before we go to public? Okay, Liz, anyone online?
Give it a moment. I'm not seeing any hands raised, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, anyone in the audience care to comment on?
Thank you.
All right. All right, sounds good. All right, we will go ahead and bring that back to council then. For final consideration. Let's see here. Yeah, this will be ordinance 26-13. Unless anyone's got any additional comments or questions or concern, I'll look for a motion to approve.
I make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion by Barber to approve ordinance 26-13. We have a second by Keithley. Any further discussion before we vote? Okay, hearing none, we'll go and vote on the approval of ordinance 26-13. All those in favor, Coleman,
Aye.
Taylor,
Aye.
Peyton,
Aye.
Barber,
Aye.
and Keithley.
Aye.
Motion passes 5 in the affirmative with 1 absent. All right. Take us down to item L, unfinished business, none. Item M, new business, none. Item N, city manager's report, and this will be in your laydown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you guys for that hard work on the comprehensive plan. We will send it to the Kenai Peninsula Borough now. And as well as with the budget discussions, we've got one more topic coming up, capital projects. So we'll definitely endeavor to dive deep and make sure that we're trying to keep the comprehensive plan relevant and involved with those discussions, and then everything that we do moving forward from our capital improvement plan and land use plan, and the planning commission is following through with the request to do a zoning comprehensive review, and that will follow these guidelines. So it's an important document that will hopefully set some guidelines and goals moving forward so that we do make progress and we're not sitting here in 20 years.
Not the other days.
The other comment I wanted to say is that I did appreciate what Councilmember Keithley said, because I recently had a discussion with DOT and they talked about Seldovia being unique because we are a community with urban services and a rural community. So whether that counts for or against us, I guess depends on the day, but we do have that pleasure of that distinction of being unique. So diving into the city manager's report, a few things I didn't include that I meant to. The city of Kenai has requested a letter of support. We supplied one a couple of years ago. They're looking at a funding opportunity to develop direct air service from Kenai to SeaTac. And so they're going for another round of funding. And as long as there's no objections to that, I'll go ahead and supply them with a letter of support from the city of Seldovia for that endeavor. And Riley has stepped up and he's going to be attending the Alaska Water and Wastewater Management Association Annual Conference from April 27th to 30th. So he will be out, but Operator Miller will be covering the water treatment plant and Harbor Master. Layla provides some backup for that, so we'll have plenty of coverage, and we like that he wants to take that opportunity for his continuing education credits and networking and just being able to meet other people in that same field with more resources than we have. I also am remiss that I did not include anything about the recent trip to Sitka that I took. So thank you guys for that. I did attend the Northwest Managers Conference. There were some really great sessions on housing, on zoning development. The one that I really took away was strategic planning. So now thinking about this comprehensive plan, the budget, the upcoming CIP, and then how to build out those priorities that you guys set every year. You know, they've kind of remained somewhat consistent and we're building on them. And so maybe we can make a little push every year to not do a full strategic plan, but to broaden that, to really kind of show that 5-year goal of how we're going to start meeting some of those needs. So that's been going on in the back of my head on how to incorporate that. I also had a chance to talk with Senator Murkowski, albeit briefly. Thanked her for the additional funding for the Jackaloff Bay dock, and informally invited her to the community for when that dock is completed. We should also keep in mind that the raw water transmission line project was also a CDS request that we received funding for, and that's hopefully going to be completed in the next couple of months as that begins next month. So overall, it was a good trip, and it was wonderful to just be able to hear from my colleagues in Washington and Oregon. We had a great conversation about tourism and the pros and cons. We had the city manager from Leavenworth, Washington talk, and I don't know if you guys know Leavenworth, but they've got the Bavarian Village, so that was really fun to hear what issues that they were having with water and sewer and parking and you know, all the same things we hear from other communities as well as from Seaside, Oregon. It was I don't know, those sessions are always kind of a little disheartening because we're all in the same place, but it's also nice to know that we're getting the right. For the report itself, a little update on Jackaloff. That contract was, well, I don't want to say finalized, but it is in the final review stage as of last week. So the execution is anticipated. You know, they always say a couple weeks. They said a couple weeks last week, so I'd say a couple weeks this week. But hopefully by the end of the month. And the RFP, which you guys approved on this agenda, on the consent agenda, was issued and will close May 15th. So finally starting to see some headway on that Jackaloff Bay dock project. The uplands, we continue to work through that process. We're still waiting for the survey instructions from ADNR. I followed up with them today and haven't heard back yet, but we know it's a slow process, and that's why they give us 3 years to work through it. Raw water transmission line project, as I mentioned, still scheduled to begin in May. We did receive the 95% design, and that was submitted to ADEC. Most of the material is in state already, and they're just staging and getting ready to come down and come across when the ferry starts operating and get that project underway. The field facility improvements project, we're just waiting on a final review from legal. We had some back and forth with the contractor, and we're at that hopefully that final phase. I was supposed to hear back from Joe today and have not yet, so I'll follow up with him in the morning. If we're able to get that finalized and completed by Wednesday, they do plan on being in town Friday for an initial kickoff, so I should know more first thing tomorrow morning. The Main Street Seldovia Stormwater Infrastructure Project, we talked a little bit at the last meeting. We are working with Aqua and HDR to make amendments to that project to focus on the planning for the completion of both Main Street South and Main Street North. If you remember, this is where DOT said, you are urban services in a rural area. And maybe that we're not top priority right now as a community, which I understand that they're in a budget deficit throughout the state. So instead, they had a couple extra requirements that really impact Main Street North. And with that in mind, we're going to complete them and get to the final stage for an RFP, but the funding will stop there. So we'll have to receive additional funding and that coordination with DOT, which will take a little bit longer to actually be able to complete that project construction wise. But we will shift gear instead to Main Street South, where we'll be able to buy material with the remaining funds and then seek additional funding or look at city funds to be able to complete that project without that one we can do without those DOT pieces. So makes it a little bit more feasible.
And we can do that because where the inlet's gonna get cut, that's because that's on our street and not DOT.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, we were
that's
gonna tie into
perfect, yeah.
DOT infrastructure, but at this point, we're planning on not. We're just gonna
Move
come
forward.
across that street and put an inlet there and come out, and they could tie in the future if they want to. But they're not there yet.
We're just going straight out are we going straight out into the harbor or where's it gonna?
Pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah. So it'll come across the street. There'll be a nice green space for some filtration by the Gateway Pavilion. So it'll take up a little bit of that. It's not really the parking. That area is still kind of in that row. It'll take a little bit of that space. And then there'll be outflow from there
Yeah.
into the harbor.
So effectively a green space to filter the sediments. There'll be the collector and then it'll go down, out and under. So, and then we'll just go under the power that's right there. We'll just deal with the power that's the existing power that's right there.
Yeah,
That feeds the pavilion.
yeah.
Okay, so
Have
it'll
to
be
deal with that.
fairly easy, yeah.
So looking forward to getting that done because that parking lot is always a nightmare. We're always putting more material on it and trying to keep up with it. But there's just so much groundwater moving through that area. It'll be nice to address that issue. Be nice to address the one on the corner too. It's going to take a little more time. For senior meals, we talked about how we had some additional funding from the state. We did receive a quote and approved for new stairs on the back of this building because these ones are just getting worse by the minute. So we have some nice aluminum stairs coming over from Mike's Welding, as well as we're going to purchase a couple additional freezers. With a dishwasher, apparently it needs repair. As soon as there was money available, it was like, oh, you have to fix me. So we'll be doing that. And then looking at just a couple other smaller improvements for the building, maybe hopefully looking at doing some additional circuits in the ATM and the automatic transfer switch panels out there. So still looking into make sure that we are improving and offering as much as we can with those funds for the program. The water and wastewater system evaluation project that's being done with VSW. They sent an alternatives memorandum and we sent back comments and that's moving forward. So we'll continue to see how that preliminary engineering report works out. But so far, very excited to see that they've got the dam in there. They've got the upper raw water transmission line, Vista Water, Vista Sewer, Anderson Water, where it's dead ended over here, Block Street Sewer, where we know we have issues, Dock Street Water. I probably forgetting one or two, but kind of cool to see a whole look and report on the majority of our problem areas, our identified areas in need in the community. Procom for the repeater is in Homer today, and that was my woohoo before the meeting. As I got word that they were able to, apparently it was something faulty on the Homer side, so that was great news. It was not our antenna, which was what we were led to believe in the last month or so. Instead, it was something on the Homer side that they were able to address. So our repeater is online again with two-way communication. We won't have to have the dispatch directly call a dispatcher's cell number
Yeah.
anymore.
Everyone. Yeah.
Yes, that's good news.
Yay.
We're still on the loaner repeater because the new repeater did have issues, and that's not back. But once that's back, that will get installed. They're still recommending that we should look at updating our communication system entirely to the state tower. That's something that's been talked about for a long time, and I feel like I remember hearing there wasn't space, or I don't remember what the logistics were, why that didn't work in the past, but apparently the state has given the go ahead and said, yep, if you want to come on this tower and be part of this ALMR system that they have up there already, that we can do that. It would take some modifications and programming. So there would be costs associated with that. I'm sure the department will be having that discussion at an upcoming meeting. But for now, at least, we're back on a full radio system, and hopefully that will continue to remain stable moving forward. Our hydrology and wetlands assessment project pre-application was submitted for the National Coastal Resilience Fund. If you remember, this is the one we submitted last year in conjunction with the KB NER and their partners. We didn't receive it, but we received great feedback. So we are going for it again. We still have all of those people really interested and wanting to come over and help support Seldovia in that project. So we're hoping that we'll receive an invite back to do a full application, and then we can proceed with that. We're already working on it behind the scenes because the turnaround is so tight. So we just have to plan that we're going to get it, and hopefully that's the case. Unfortunately, we did not receive the Historic Boardwalk Improvements Preliminary Design and Engineering funds from the Rural Tribal Assistance Grant, nor did we receive the Boardwalk Pedestrian Pathway Planning Project from that same program. However, there is a upcoming opportunity through Safe Streets for All. I had a great meeting with the grant writer through Alaska Municipal League today, and she's going to help with the application for that. So KBB also sent out a reminder that we are in their Safe Streets for All action plan that they created. And so we'll be looking at how to, that the plan didn't fully address what we needed because it was just too large and too big because it's borough wide. But we're looking at creative ways to incorporate that in the comprehensive plan and some of these other planning documents that you guys have to build up that project for the historic boardwalk, which is in definite need of repair now, as well as looking at a planning project for a potential harbor waterfront boardwalk. So looking at that, the other thing that they're looking at is a brick that's a building resilience, infrastructure, and communities funding opportunity that just opened up and would be great for the dam. So we have not had anything, we have not been able to find anything that the dam would qualify for. This one would meet that need. We did a 2-page notice of interest. I actually sent that out this afternoon, and within 45 minutes of sending it out, got an email back and said, here's the full application, move forward. So that's exciting. We'll be working on that with Alaska Municipal League over this next month. So great to have them on board. Cybersecurity project. We did complete the scope of work that council previously budgeted for and included, but there's some additional work they want to do. So I'm waiting on a scope of work for that, the price, what that's gonna look like, and I'm hoping we can fit it into the budget and they can come up and just finish that project out. That will be putting the water treatment plant on the same radio network the rest of us are on, putting some of our additional computers on the server, and overhauling our phone system. It's something they could do on the phone, and we talked about it, went back and forth, and at the end it was like, you're probably gonna end up at similar costs for having somebody be on the phone with you working through all of these things versus
Yeah.
having somebody just come up and complete the work. So
That would be better.
happy to have them. Both Liz and I at the end of their last visit went, oh man, we could have just used them for 1 or 2 more days.
And
So
it brings money to the economy.
yeah, that's true too.
Yep.
So that's great. We're hoping that's going to work out. The improvements for the Andy Anderson Police Department are ongoing. That was something that Public Works was going to help tackle. And Dewey has just stepped up and taken over and got a head start, and he's hoping to be done by the end of this week. So it's looking really great in there so far, and we're really thankful for him taking that on and making that space, his space, and it looks good. We also did not receive an award for the most recent round of reveep. We applied for both the siding for this building as well as a new roof, siding, and boiler heat pump for the harbor office. I have a feeling this has to do with the fact that we still have an open project, and I'm guessing that as word gets around with the accessibility of these funds, that there are more applications. I'm not sure. That's a guess. But we're still working on the reveep program, and we'll continue to look for opportunities for these projects as well. And as a reminder, all these projects are in your capital improvement plan. Other updates, the SVFD and EMS had their annual membership meeting at the end of last month, and they elected Travis Jordan as the fire chief and Keith Swick as the deputy
Yay.
fire chief. So we want to definitely give them a big welcome aboard. Well, they've been aboard, but thank you for stepping up into those roles, and had a great meeting with Travis today. He has a heart and a mind for helping out the community and being in that role. So looking forward to working with him on it. They also passed their FY26 and FY27 budget. So you'll see that in your upcoming budget when you receive that. It'll have been approved by them. And they approved a new logo, which is similar to the city's logo. So using that same branding, but they have the cross. I should have put a picture in here. It'll have the Maltese cross, and it has some wording for volunteer fire and EMS, and it's cute. They did a good job. And the membership also improved implementing a Guardian Flight group subscription. So we did, even though this is in the FY27 budget, not the FY26, it did cross over because they have budget in their FY26 budget right now to expend on this. And that's the majority of the budget for that subscription. So instead of having to have them delay and not be able to use those funds, we went ahead and signed up and allocated the rest of it across our funds into the appropriate places. So it does bring up that expense a little bit in each department or fund, but not a lot. I mean, the overall bill was like $3,000 something and change. So, and that's spread across. And like I said, with the majority going to the department. So if you signed up, you should be seeing a envelope coming in the mail here in the next couple of weeks with your information for your membership. I will also say that was a really neat thing sitting at a table in Sitka last week, as I had one city manager from Oregon go, do you guys do air flight services? I don't understand why we would do this. And I had I was like, whoa, this is timely. I had 3 other city managers sitting there going, yeah, we do. And it's worth it. And it was a very cool conversation to go, wow, I think we're on the right track here. Even from Oregon, that they're doing that, because, one from Ashland was saying that it takes 3.5 hours to get to Portland. And if they need to get somebody out that's who they use, is a different air flight service, but they use it fairly regularly, and you know, similar, I think, to our discussions, that it's a nominal cost for a high impact for your employees. So they just put it into everybody's contracts and agreements for work, and they get the service. So it was kind of a nice moment to hear that that's a thing. Let's see, water meter pilot program. I know this is something Mr. Mayor is partial to, and I apologize, it's been so long to roll out. We did send out a flyer asking for people who are interested in the program. We have received some responses. It's been kind of hit or miss. There's definitely some negative feedback we're receiving from it. But looking to hopefully install those meters at the end of May. I'm waiting for Todd Cook to come over, who's our remote water supervisor. Since he's familiar with these meters, I'm hoping he'll help us with the initial few installs, and then we can move forward from there. I also got a great information back from a supplier out of Anchorage, Alaska Water, and I don't have the acronym on the top of my head, or the name on the top of my head, but they are the supplier for these Badger meters, and provided some quotes, some information that was surprising. It wasn't as much as I was thinking it was going to be, even to go to like a fully cell service where it's remote monitored and uploads into a platform. And then you can even, for not a whole lot more, you can export, I should say, those water usage rates into your billing system. So we're not there yet. I'm not saying we are, but it was nice to hear that those next steps, if they come, when we have those discussions, we're maybe not as fraught as we've initially talked about in the past. But for now, we can do an install and have those meters, the readers, wired and in a place where we can go by and monthly read them, and we'll start small and see how it goes.
Heidi, real quick, just want to interject, because I heard a little bit about the negativity also on the water meters. I mean, people have to understand, we've talked about this for years. All we're looking here, we're not saying we're going to do anything, but we've had such a wide range of opinion on who uses the water. So to settle that, we're going to try a pilot program. Again, it's a pilot program. We're going to put 10 meters in, and we want a cross section. I volunteered my business. I mean, there's a couple folks that
I
volunteered.
volunteered. I just need water.
Yeah, I mean, we need we want to get a good cross section of people to see what the real usage is, and then we can take that data and do maybe we don't do anything with it, but at least then we'll know what's going on.
Yep.
So
yeah, so we're looking to move forward with that, and that's the same feedback I've given people that have had similar comments to me. Is this is a pilot program. No decisions would be made without further discussion with the council, and at this point in time, it's really just to determine what that usage is.
We need the information.
Yeah.
It's just all hypothetical, and that doesn't work.
Yeah. We talked about installing the web camera on the city dock. It looks like that can be coordinated with Alaska Technical Solutions when they come
Yay.
up, and that program, the AOS they'll pay for that install. They're paying for the camera and sending it down. So hopefully that all works out time-wise. It's here and that's installed, and that'll be great. We're still looking to see if there's a way to install it at Jack Lock. There's just a power issue out there that we have not been able to address or fully comprehend at this point. Upcoming council business, we just mentioned that there is an upcoming budget meeting, work session, potentially the last one, unless you guys have other topics you want to address. This will be the capital projects, and will probably be a little bit more of an in-depth conversation, because that's really where you start looking at those long-range plans and money and which direction you want to go with accomplishing those goals. So we were hoping for a standalone meeting next week, either Monday or Tuesday. However, in our audit meeting last week, a portion of the conversation focused on our grants and capital project funding. And we had some great feedback from there. They're doing a draft of what that would look in the supplemental. And I think that might be a great way to just like loop back around and make sure that we're covering it and addressing it fully in our budget. So depending on when I receive that, I may request that you guys hold off on having that meeting until the week of the 27th, knowing that you have a council meeting on the 27th, and then that makes it really tight because the budget should be introduced at the first meeting in May. So it leaves very little room to squeeze in special work sessions if we need to, or special meetings, but we can do that. I don't know if you guys have feedback on that, if you have your comfortability of waiting, if we need to, depending on when we hear that feedback from our
I mean,
audit
so
team.
far we haven't had any big red flags. So, I mean, the good thing is I think unless you bring something to our attention, I mean, it seems like we're doing pretty well so far on all of the feedback we're getting from you. And then all of our work sessions have kind of gone as scheduled. So.
Okay. I guess we'll wait and see when we hear back from that audit team, and then we'll get a hold of you guys and move forward from there. Couple last minute things. Seldovia Planning Commission is having a meeting this Wednesday, and we're waiting on some last minute details, but they should be discussing the scope of work from AML for the comprehensive zoning review, just to see if that's something that we can recommend up to council, is to have them help us through that process as well, because they helped us through the comprehensive plan, and that was really nice to have that third party support, and reasonable. They're very reasonable. I also wanted to mention, and you'll see in here as a laydown, that CISPRI is now Alaska Response Corporation, and they did amend their tidelands permit for that name change. So that was their request. And the job announcement for the VPSO position is also in there. Amy Morgan did put in her resignation and is no longer with APIA or in the VPSO position for Seldovia. So they are looking at hiring another VPSO, and those announcements went around town. Sounds like there's already some interest, and we'll just move forward with that process as it goes. And then we're still dealing with groundwater, water, sewer. Well, sewer's been pretty good, but water issues due to the steep freeze that we've had. I've heard several more services around the community have frozen. It sounds like what I'm hearing, not being an expert on this subject at all, is that even as we warm up, that frost is settling lower. And Homer made a post that their public works crew were finding frost levels at 8 feet deep.
It's a lie.
Sorry. So yeah, even as it's warming up, just still recommending that people run their water and make sure
Pray.
make sure to take care of their services, and hopefully that frost can dissipate here in the next month. We've got a bet going internally at the city office to come back on.
Because we have help me with the.
The Nanana Ice Classic.
Yes, this is what we need.
And lastly, I am planning on taking Fridays off for the remainder of this month, as well as personal leave next week from the 22nd to 26th. I'm taking the student government kids from the school to Juneau for their Alaska Association of Student Government Conference. That'll be fun. And I just quite frankly have too much PTO, so I'm trying to use it before I lose it.
And a track meet.
Oh, yes, and I guess
Mhm.
I've been voluntold I'm also going to be doing a track meet at the beginning of May that I will chaperone, so that'll be fun. But still getting all the work done in the meantime, hopefully keeping up with everything, and if you guys have any concerns, let me know.
Okay, thank you, Heidi. Any questions, comments on the manager's report tonight? Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Heidi, for that. Obviously, lots of good things going on there. Let's see, we'll wrap it up here. Item L, let's see, no, we already did that one. Item, excuse me, O, informational items, not requiring action. City manager will be away, as she just said, from the office April 22nd through the 25th. Item P, executive session, none. Item Q, council mayor comments concerning items not on the agenda. Coleman.
No comment.
Taylor?
I want to thank Bob from HEA coming in tonight. You got my vote. And Heidi, good job. Keep up the good work.
Peyton?
I have a question.
Yes.
I hear we have a fancy new street sweeper. When are we going to use it?
When the snow
Good
goes away.
question. That's been on my mind as well. I think we just need to coordinate with the state and then we can proceed when we're ready, when we're able. So, yeah.
This is our sweeper attachment.
This is our sweeper attachment.
Okay, do we,
That'd
what,
be
we gotta get
awesome.
Let's
permission from the
sweep,
state to
guys.
do the state
Yeah.
side?
We should probably at least coordinate that.
Well, they can practice on the city streets then, while we're waiting to do that. Sounds like a good plan, Heidi.
Alder Street
Feels like-
seems like it would be happy to volunteer.
Right.
No one's gonna complain, so, although, yeah, let's wait till we get a little moisture and not.
Yeah.
Do you know where I'm going with that? So,
Big dust. cloud.
yeah, let's do it on a rainy day and not a super dry day, or
Well,
let's
sure, but let's
get
not
some
wait till
water out
July.
in front of it.
It has water in the attachment, but
Perfect.
still more water is not necessarily bad. Not
Perfect.
too much water though.
All right,
comment?
sounds good. Let's see who's, oh, go ahead, Jack.
I was just wondering how your customers are dealing with being charged for water they're not getting because the lines have froze up.
Through the mayor, so it is in our fee schedule that whether you're using it or not, if you're attached to that system, you're paying. So we don't have a maintenance fee, we don't have a reduced fee. And that system costs the same amount of money to maintain and take care of year round. And that's what the charge is.
You don't like that answer, do you?
I'm not one not getting water, but I know a lot of people. Uh,
Well said, Heidi.
I don't even feel any empathy coming from her at that point.
No. That was very businesslike. We are sorry for your unfortunate
Sorry.
moment. Yeah, no, it's not pretty. Yeah, no one wants this. We get it. Let's see, who was next? Barber? Anything else you'd like to say?
Nothing tonight.
Okay. Keithley.
Comment this evening.
All right, sounds good. Thanks everyone for attending. Appreciate those members of the public that showed up. And to the city staff for doing what you guys do. Let's see. Next regular meeting will be held on Monday, April 27th, with or without a work session. More to follow on that. And I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Do we have any objection? Hearing none, we are adjourned. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Good night.